All right, I'd like to call open session back to order. 2.1, welcome and introductions.
My name is John Brazil. I'm the Chief Financial Officer.
Lorenzo Rizzi, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary Education.
Dan Krupa, Board Member.
Dawn Mullins, Board Member.
Carla Tash, Secretary.
Vern Sullivan, Board Member.
Steve Holloway, Board Member.
Dave Palmer, Vice President.
Tim Crutchley, Acting Superintendent.
John Laughlin, Board President. Okay. All right, we're going to go straight to 2.4, public comments. Dr. Rizzi.
We have 7 public comments tonight. Just a reminder to those speaking tonight that it's you have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll be keeping time, and Mr. Palmer will be reminding you of that. First, we have Mr. Rick Bradley.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I just wanted to say that I am here on behalf of myself and the rest of Seckman Elementary, and I'm not here to talk in specifics about anything, but I am here to talk about the opening for the principal opening that we do have in our building right now. And I'm aware that the announcement's coming tonight. I know it's coming at the end of the meeting. But I do want to implore you guys to think very carefully and understand that we are obviously looking for a principal now who is going to stand behind us, who will make the tough decisions, who may have made those in the past. And there are obviously several candidates that you guys have had, and coming from a special ed background, I am looking personally at a candidate who would be, of that same background. That being said, I've had experiences with different types of principals in the past, and I know somebody who has that background can encompass the entire building. They can see the special ed side, they can see the regular ed side, they can see all aspects. I understand, again, you may have made your decision, you may not have. I'm not 100% sure. I can't make assumptions. But again, I'm looking for somebody who will have my back. I know there's several people who may have, who you have interviewed, and a couple of them I know, a couple of them I don't. So again, what I'm looking for is somebody who is going to have my back, have our back, somebody who will change what's going on right now, and somebody who can lead us in the future. I'm not up here to talk for a long time. I'm not here to waste anybody else's time. I just want to get that to your attention, that coming from a special ed background, somebody who knows that special ed, side of things may be a good candidate. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sherry Harrington?
Okay, my name is Sherry Harrington. I am a 4th grade teacher at Seckman Elementary School. I would like to address the school board, Dr. Whipke, which there he is, and the community with regards to the leadership of our school. Here with me tonight, as Mr. Bradley said, are other Seckman teachers and staff, and I would ask that they would please stand. We just want to show you that we are in support of your decision. For the last several months, our school has undergone a great deal of change. Our former principal stepped down in December, and starting in January, we had new leadership. Many of us were quite surprised, but we were reassured by the board and Dr. Whipke and the administration that you had given your full support for this person. Not knowing what to expect, we were braced for the worst. We were fully prepared to have someone come in and whip us into shape, make changes, without really knowing who we were or how we worked. And this is not what happened. We were all given an opportunity to speak about this situation to Dr. Whipke. We were able to write letters to the board, and we were able to offer our support in whatever way we deemed appropriate. Over the last 2.5 months, our interim principal has proven to be an exceptional principal. Exceptional. And for that, I'd like to thank him. And tonight, Dr. Whipke, the Board of Education, will decide the future of our school. I know it's been a challenging time for everyone involved, and I would like to personally thank Dr. Whipke for instituting a fair hiring process, something which we have truly needed in this district for some time. And although it's been tough for the teachers of Seckman, we understand the importance of this decision, and we have no doubt that the person you have chosen to represent us as our leader will be the best person for the job, and we thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sarah Randall?
I'm going to move this down. Good evening. My name is Sarah Randall. I'm a counselor at Merrimack Heights Elementary and the president for the Fox C6 CTA in affiliation with MSTA. Henry Ford once said, "Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success." This school district has recently faced some very difficult times. However, we have come together and made progress through the board's dedication and our staff's resiliency to rebound from these difficult times. Unfortunately, recent activities by the Fox NEA has jeopardized unity with our staff. I am here representing not only myself, but nearly 300 CTA members as well as other certified employees that do not belong to either teacher organization. We are disappointed that the Fox NEA chose to make a decision that ostracized nearly half of all certified employees in our district. They held a meeting and voted to exclude all teachers except those that belong to NEA from voting on the tentative agreements that were negotiated for the upcoming school year. Though the choice that Fox NEA made is legal, it is not the best decision for our district. We all know the circumstances of our district. Teachers and classified staff are weathering the storm and keeping together to advance the district through these difficult times, all without letting it impact our students and their education. We feel that this decision by Fox NEA is a major setback to working together for success. Within this past week, I've witnessed the highest level of divisiveness between my fellow coworkers than in my 10 years in this district. I've received a multitude of correspondence with grave concern regarding this choice. It was stated to employees that this was the first time in district history to have a signed agreement that is legally binding. However, all past agreements negotiated by Fox NEA and previously the Fox CTA are legally binding. There is no clause in state or federal statute that would prohibit a binding agreement from being legal or enforceable just because there's an all-inclusive ratification vote for the agreement. As an all-inclusive professional association, MSTA resolutions make it clear that we support a ratification process that involves all staff members, which means working together to be successful. There are districts in our area, such as Kirkwood and Brentwood, where representatives of multiple organizations negotiate together to create legally binding agreements with the district. This is the first time in the history of Fox to exclude specific certified employees from voting and voicing their opinion. As educators, we teach our students how to work together in unity and share responsibilities in order to grow into successful adults. Yet this decision by the Fox NEA to exclude all certified employees except their members from voicing their opinion has created an environment of distrust and disharmony within our district. All certified employees should have a vote to voice their opinion. My hope is that we can create unity by moving forward and working together to form a committee that consists of all members from all teacher organizations. In conclusion, Henry Ford said, "If everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself." Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dale Perstrope.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. I am Dale Perstrope. I'm a 6th grade teacher at Seckman Elementary School. We've been experiencing quite a bit of turmoil at elementary school, and as you all know, but the changes that have been made this past year have been very positive. They have added a great level of leadership that we've needed, and we would like to see that continue. We appreciate what has been done at our building. We appreciate the leadership of those that have been involved, and we are anxious to see what's going to happen. I have a vested interest in what's going to happen because I have 3 kids of my own at Seckman Elementary School. And the things that I have been seeing, the steps that we've been making have been very, very positive ones and very personal ones. And I want to thank Dr. Whipke for part of that. He's been a very personable fellow. He's been someone that has been listening to us and meeting with us and has made himself available to us. And we really appreciate that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. James Osha.
Good evening. I want to start out by saying transparency in the district needs to be clear. In January, I came up here and took you guys to task. I wasn't fully aware of how the law does limit certain actions you guys have to take. Somebody took me aside and spent about 45 minutes talking to me, and I appreciated that. However, I feel that this board could enlighten, convey to us lay people, the taxpayers and parents, how these decisions were made per these laws. With that said, with what is paid to the law firm, I'm sure they could help in this matter. I know you guys aren't lawyers, so maybe they could work something up, because not all of us are lawyers. At the end of each meeting, there are board reports, and I don't recall too many times that any much reporting are done. I feel that is a perfect time to enlighten us or explain, even if you can't go into extreme details, but give us a little bit more, especially on major decisions, whether they're good, bad, or what we think. And how these laws can hamper your decisions. I know, trust me, there's what I've looked at, it's no fun, and I wish they could be changed even more. I and many others would agree that being open and honest on these matters would help the mindset of us in the community and help rebuild the trust that has been lost over these last several years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ritz Simpson.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say the district has been screening candidates for leadership positions in our district, and the community has very little idea as to who applied or who was involved with the screening. You owe it to the community to be as transparent and forthcoming as possible in making these decisions. If individuals who have disgraced our district are hired in leadership positions, the public will hold you accountable for your actions and will work to remove these individuals. For almost a year, the school board has been telling the community that it's okay for our administrators to bully parents in our district despite having an anti-bullying policy. Individuals get to make fake apologies and lose a couple of weeks of pay while spreading the loss of their pay over 24 pay periods. That really has to hurt. then we let individuals use their vacation day and or maybe sick days to make up for the days that they were placed on a paid administrative leave. Those are certainly some really tough rules to live by. Administrators in this Fox district are probably too afraid to do anything wrong now, knowing that they may receive that type of harsh punishment. Well, not really, but what you have done is encourage this type of behaviors to continue because the taxpayers actually reward them with large sums of money if they decide to leave. So it's hard to believe that we've been putting up with this nonsense of willful blindness and lack of accountability for nearly a decade. When will you begin to hold people accountable for their actions? Fox still has an open resolution agreement with that OCR that was signed by Mr. Baker in May 1st, 2009. The district still hasn't met the terms of the agreement after nearly 6 years. So that's something that I find a problem when you're dealing with somebody who's special ed and you haven't been able to follow the law yet in 6 years. Fox still has an open and ongoing district-wide compliance review by Ed OCR that's been open since March of 2010. That one still is open and has not been closed. It's simply unbelievable that we are considering hiring people for positions that haven't done their jobs for so many years. The only way that is possible is because we have people covering for people to keep their overpaid salaries flowing. That's the only way. If individuals had done these types of things in the public sector, they would have been fired long ago with no severance pay or paid vacation. I'm really at a loss as to how you can face the community and say that we're making the best decisions that we can, knowing all of this information. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jeff Taylor?
Aren't you all glad you made a decision to run for the school board? It's got to be a great time for you all. I just want to take a moment and let the board know what a positive experience in the negotiations process was over the past few months. The process led to in-depth conversation and true problem solving. Both sides worked very hard to find a middle ground that would be satisfactory to the district and keep it fiscally and fundamentally on solid ground. The members of the Fox NEA bargaining unit did vote yesterday, concluded their vote yesterday, to ratify the contract by a very wide majority. The number of voters this year is a hot topic, and I feel it's very important to look at the number of teachers in the past years that have voted when we put it out there to ratify the contract. This year, the Fox NEA Representative Assembly decided to limit the voting members to Fox NEA only. In 2013, we actually had 2 votes to ratify the contract. The first vote, there was 469 voters. On the second one, 480. In 2012, and this is when everyone could vote, we had 419 teachers. 419 teachers out of all the teachers took the time to vote on ratifying the contract. In 2011, we had 441 teachers take the survey. This is when every teacher was allowed to take the survey. Earlier, a week ago, the Fox NEA Rep Assembly limited voting to only Fox NEA members. Total number of votes cast, 410. Looking at the difference in numbers in the past years, that is 70 less than 2013 school year and 9 less than took the vote in 2012. 9 teachers. Fox NEA filed its bylaws in this process of ratifying the contract, and we are very pleased with the outcome. We look forward to having the process completed for this year. Thank you.
That's all the comments we have.
When we're on, yeah. Earlier at 5:30, we made a motion and changed the agenda. 3.4, Dr. Whipke's update is going to move to 2.5. It slides into this slot right here. Dr. Whipke.
Good evening, President Laughlin, Mr. Crutchley, members of the board. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. It's great to see everybody out here, coming to board meetings and supporting one way or the other. Definitely sends a huge message of support in the community. And I'm here to really spread what I've been seeing and give kind of a, lack of a better word, a State of a Union address since November. November 18th, I stood in front of many of you here. It looks like we have even more people than on that date. Absolutely honored, absolutely thrilled to be your superintendent. My feelings have not changed at all. I am so excited for July. They say don't wish your life away, but I am so excited for July 1 to get here when I can officially start and leading this district. I wanted to address a couple of things, and Sam, first of all, everybody knows Sam Rayburn. Sam Rayburn is a master with our communications, and he helps me every single day trying to communicate to staff, and I just want to thank you publicly for all your work, Sam. He's going to help click me through our PowerPoint presentation. The first slide, Dr. Seuss. We just had Dr. Seuss Week not too long ago. I was so disappointed because I was trying desperately on a Wednesday to get to Fox Elementary because they were having Dr. Seuss Day. And I really wanted to see the kids. They did send me some pictures of the Dr. Seuss hats. And they were just looked like they were having a ball. But I thought I'd start with one of my favorite Dr. Seuss books. My all-time favorite is Fox and Socks. It's my son's all-time favorite as well when I try and read it. He gets quite a kick out of me trying to read through it. I wanted to share this book though. I could read with my eyes shut. I really, when I started to go around and take tours of buildings, I really wanted to make sure that I learn about the district, so that when decisions have to be made, and I tell all of our boys and girls that I visit, all of our high school, that you know what, I'm your superintendent. I'm not going to keep everybody happy, but I'm going to try and make sound decisions. Sound decisions that aren't with my eyes shut. When we look at, I've talked to teachers, and I've had conversations with teachers about changing practices. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's hard. I'll pull this book out. It's a great reminder for me. It might be a great reminder for you. All right? When I parent, sometimes I'm quick to make judgments, quick to make calls. I assume that the reason why Jill Whipke just popped Jacob Whipke on the head was because she was wrong, and I make a quick judgment. Okay? We have we have so many positives in our district. But when I look at coming in and taking a leadership role, I want to make sure that I'm not reading with my eyes shut, as Dr. Seuss so eloquently put in his book. There's one page in his book that I found particularly interesting. When I visit staff, I share this at times. I can read with my eyes shut, Dr. Seuss says, with Cat in the Hat, but that's very hard to do. The next page simply says, but it's bad for my hat and makes my eyebrows get red hot. So reading with my eyes shut, I don't do an awful lot. That message that is clear to me in my mission to go out and learn as much as I possibly can about our district is to make sure that I learn as much as I possibly can about our district, that I listen to all stakeholders, that I listen to all voices. If we could go to the next slide, thank you. Raise your hand if you've seen this kind of picture before. We all have, right? The iceberg model. This is a history guy in me. Every single time I look at an iceberg, I think of what? What do you guys think of? Titanic. Yeah, the Titanic, right? Right. The history guy can't get away from that. But look at that iceberg a minute. What you see on the surface is just the tip of the iceberg because everything's underneath. As I go and visit schools, there is so much underneath the surface going on. So much good for our kids. It is amazing. I have this later on in my presentation, so I may mention it again. Many of you know my background. Many of you know that what I've taught. You know where I've been assistant principals and principals. I've been a part of some really, really good districts. And I want to say this, and I'm really glad that we have so many teachers here today. I'm trying to make sure I'm looking at our teachers, all right? You guys are truly some of the best I've ever seen. Ever. Anywhere. You care for kids. You love your kids. And I've gotten to see that firsthand. So the quality of teaching is phenomenal. We'll talk a little bit more about some things that I think our teachers need. Underneath the iceberg, they have on the far right side, and this was from the picture that I actually used this from, they mentioned things like underneath the iceberg, if we're going to be successful, we need hard work, we need risk, we need late nights and struggles. But I want to go to the other side of the iceberg. These are some of the things that I have found during my visits. We've put in hiring practices and hiring. We have meet and confer. Jeff just talked about that. Orientation schedules I'm going to get to show you here in a minute. We have a summer journey program that's really going to help all kids during summer school learn. We have a curriculum instruction process that we're discussing with teachers and starting to put into place. Right? We have a teacher evaluation instrument that we're going to not only be piloting but implementing next year. We're looking at balancing our budget. John Brazil has done a phenomenal job at that. Allocation of resources, how we support the teachers in the classroom. I've had staff meetings, principal meetings, teacher-led meetings. And we're going to get into a CSIP, a Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, from a district's perspective so that the BSIPs directly connect. There is a lot of great work happening underneath the surface in this district. I think it's important that you know that, and important to know all of the work going on. My visit to Fox Elementary School was so much fun. I was able to borrow a cape. And for just a little brief time, I got to pretend I'm Superman. All right? Yes. Awesome. Yes. Right here. All right. There's my partner in crime right up here in the front row. How cool is that? All right? The real heroes and the staff and the students are the real heroes in the building. Not me in the middle. Okay? The ones in the trenches that actually know the ins and outs of the daily basis, what's going on in the buildings. It's the kids. On my way in here, I had a young gentleman that came up to me and said, this is the third time I've seen you. That was so cool. I don't know, is he still here? Is he here anyway? All right. That was just so awesome, and he gave me a high five. The real heroes are our staff and students in the buildings. So, communication. Communication, let's go back to that iceberg real quick, Sam. The communication is incredibly important, and that's part of the reason I'm here today. To make sure that we're communicating, make sure that we're letting staff know what's happening in the buildings, to talk about the great things that I'm seeing, like I mentioned with our teachers. Okay, Sam. A little snapshot of just some of my schedules and some of my visits. I had to cancel the ones in red because of one thing or another, but that's just a brief snapshot of some of my visits that I've gotten to go on. I have a wide range of things, but one of my favorite things is the faculty meetings, and I'm going to share with you what we discussed in our faculty meetings. But one of my at the bottom you can see I have school visits, we've done principal trait meetings, we've done faculty meetings, and attending outside events. All right, I got to see, and it was unfortunate because we lost, but Fox Hockey's team. All right, and that was a ton of fun, by the way. All right, if we could flip on. This was actually one of my favorite visits to a school, which was Ridgewood. When I go to school, sometimes the principal will walk me around. Sometimes they'll give me student leaders, right? Remember that? All right. So when I go around and I visit schools, well, at Ridgewood, right away they hustled me into a room, and I thought, okay, what's going on? And they pulled me into what they called the leadership room. And I sat around in a circle, and they just talked about classes that they take, elective classes that they take. The core content teachers are giving elective classes. You saw Ryan Weidman come up here from Ridgewood and talk about what he's doing with STEM and the construction with cardboard, and how he's helping build the kids in the classroom, helping build special education equipment for kids. Unbelievable, truly remarkable. This was particularly fun. However, what's said in the leadership room has to stay in the leadership room, and I learned that real quick. And I'm really glad about that, because the very first question they asked me was, Dr. Whipke, what was your biggest mistake you made as a kid? And I told them, all right, but I also told them you can't tell anybody, all right? They asked me a lot about vision and a lot about direction. Middle school kids asking some really, really strong, solid questions. Go ahead, Sam. Some of the things that I have noticed, and I've talked to department chairs, I've talked to principals, are what lies with our curriculum needs and instructional needs. And we do have some gaps, and we're going to close those gaps. Right, Stephanie? Right? We're going to close those gaps. We need a true curriculum implementation process that we're going to put in place, and we need resources connected to that curriculum implementation process. So I know that there's a structure right now in central office where we have 5 assistant superintendents. But when I was talking to the staff about this, and I said it this way because I'm still learning, okay? And again, going back to reading with my eyes shut, I'm still learning. So I hold up a little magic reserve ticket that I reserve the right to change my mind after I hear and learn more information. But you know, as I look at the current structure, we have 5 assistant soups. I plan on moving that down to 3 assistant soups, and then being able to use some of those resources to help on the curriculum and instruction side of things, because I see that as an area that is lacking, right? I would hope that I would see some teachers going. Yeah, absolutely, okay? So we're still looking at that. We're still learning about that, but it's really important to me that we focus on our curriculum and instruction and making sure things are aligned and well connected. All right. We have some orientations that we've already scheduled. We've sent this information out to our administrators, and you can see we're going to have cabinet meetings, principal meetings, new administrator meetings, new teacher meetings, all right? And when teachers return, and staff meetings, we have that already outlined and scheduled. We've sent that out to staff so that they know what they need to attend, know the dates they need to attend it. I'm really excited about our orientation meetings, for sure. And then this is what I wanted to spend the bulk of my time talking to you all about today. We are all in this together. That's a theme that I'm talking to our faculties about. We are all in this together. When I first visit with the faculty, I will hold up 4 cards. And I say, you know what, being a history teacher, right, Jeff? I hold up these 4 cards and I say, it is important to talk about our past. Vitally important to talk about our past. All right? You have to learn from the past. But I hold up a hammer, only the card. I hold up an oil can. I hold up a screwdriver. Right? And I hold up a saw. And I ask every single teacher to talk about what tool would they use in order to fix our district. This has been really telling. I would have assumed, and I'm going to just be honest with you and vulnerable, I'd assume hammer would have been number 1. Raise your hand if you would have thought hammer would have been number 1. Nope. You guys are more right than I am. All right? Because let me tell you, all right, I'd have lost money on that if I was betting. Okay. What do you think the number 1? Shout it out. What do you think number 1? All right. Oil can is number 1. And when I ask why, here's what I usually get. Something along the version of, well, Dr. Whipke, for so long, we've been focused on the wrong areas, and if we just can use some oil to loosen up those other areas, we'll get moving again and get heading that right direction with that oil can. I have gotten some good ones with screwdriver, though, that are very similar. All right? And if we need to tighten some things up and loosen other things up. The best answer I got with hammer, because I thought I was going to hear hammer all the time. The best answer I got with hammer was, we need to use a hammer to knock away the rough edges so that everybody gets to see what I've gotten to see, which is the heart of Fox. I thought that was a really good answer. I'm learning a lot from them. Okay. I want to tell you a little bit about me outside of this venue, outside of education. And I want to tell you a little story. And I apologize if I get long-winded, but this is a story that's really shaped me. And I think it's important that you know it because I share it with a lot of the faculty as well. I do have another life besides an educator. Right? And every once in a while, you'll see, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that. And I focus on positive with Twitter, by the way. I focus on the positive things I see in the district. I'll send pictures out of my family. All right? Sharpening the saw. All right, Jacob hit me right here with a snowball. All right, but it was a great opportunity to sharpen that saw. All right, so as you see here, I want to tell you a quick. Outside of this venue, I'm a soccer coach. We have any coaches out there? Coach little league teams. Good. I'm a soccer coach. I've been coaching a lot of teams for a lot of years. I've had some success, and I've also had some tough times. But I can tell you the reason why I still coach soccer is because of lessons that kids teach us. I'm going to tell a little story about a young lady I was coaching who was an unbelievable player. In fact, she was a phenomenal player. Today she's at a big-time D1 school playing. That's how good she was. And we were playing in a state championship game, the finals of state. And she just wasn't having a very good game. And as a coach, I'm pretty intense. No, I wasn't kicking a cooler over, all right? But I felt like it. As she struggled to play well, we got to halftime, and we were losing 1-0 at halftime. And I kind of got on her case a little bit. I was upset, wanted to push her, wanted to try to get her to that next level. And second half started. Well, you know, in soccer, I can't call a timeout like in basketball. Gosh, I wish you could. I can't call a timeout. So when that second half continued and we went on, we were not playing well at all. And a lot of it dealt with this young lady up top, playing forward. So my only hope, and we were on turf field, by the way, okay? So my only hope to get a break in the action is what? Yes, lightning. That's it. Because you'll play in the rain on turf. So I'm praying for lightning. Because it is not looking good. And I want to tell you, not only did it lightning, it started pouring. And we had 20 minutes, and I'm like the only one standing out on this soccer field. Everybody ran inside. It was raining inside. And I'm like, thank you. We went into the field house. And as we stood in the field house, I'm trying to gather myself. And Jeff, I'm trying to come up with my best rah-rah speech right now. Yeah, well, I'll tell you who gave it to me in a minute. And my girls are sitting down a long hallway, kind of like this, right? Down this long hallway. And the young lady who scores most of our goals, right, for us, is way down at the end of the hallway. And she's crying. 20 minutes left of the game. You know what I felt like saying? There's no crying in soccer. All right? But I didn't. In fact, my heart went out. And so I did what any good coach would do. I went up to her best friend, and I said, hey, find out what's wrong with her. And she did. She walked back to her, and she came back to me, and she said, Coach, don't worry about it. I said, well, I am worried about it. I'm really worried about it. And she said, well, you see, Coach, she's really hearing it from her parents in the stands. I'm going to tell you, I get choked up thinking about it today. And she feels like she's a loser, Coach. She feels like she's letting everybody down. So I spent about another hour. And I went back and forth. The rain just kept coming. Thinking, what can I say? And the clouds separated, and the sun came back out. And it was time for us to finish the last 20 minutes. And now I really don't care that we're losing 1-0. I really just care about the young lady that, quote unquote, thinks she's a loser. So I go back there and I talk to the team, and I leave the field house, and I just started walking, and I actually was walking in the opposite direction of the field, and I don't know why I was doing that, but I just kept walking until the blacktop ended, and I turned around. I'm going to try and keep it together. But I turned around, and all of a sudden, all the little ducklings had followed me all the way down to the end of the blacktop, because that's where the coach was going. And I turned around. I really didn't know what else to say, but I knew what that girl needed to hear. And it's a very good thing I had sunglasses on, because I'm not too big of a person to tell you that I was bawling like a baby. And I was able to struggle out the words, I believe in you. And then the next thing you know, our backup goalie, who didn't even play in that game, said, I believe in you too. And then it flowed, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. I'm going to tell you, I don't even remember walking to the turf field, but we got there. We started that game, and I wish I could tell you it was like a Disney story. I really do. All right? The young lady that I told I believed in her did not score, but we did win 2-1 because her teammates believed in her. Her teammates believed in her. I stood up on that stage November 19th, and I asked you for something. I asked you to believe in me. I asked you to believe in an idea. And I asked you to believe in yourself. There's a lot of lessons that I learned that day on that turf field, but nothing from anything I read, but sure was from the kids that led me that day. If you look at the passage from Margaret Wheatley, is something else that I share. And it's called, Are We All In This Together? And I think it's a direct connection and tie-in to my little story. Well, I guess it wasn't so little. All right. Margaret Wheatley writes the book Turning to One Another. Turning to One Another. Think about the title. Read the book. It changed my life. Think about the title. Read the book. There is one passage in there that's called, Are We All In This Together? One of the most commonly heard phrases today is, we're all in this together. Right? From high-level leaders to local school board members to teenagers offering service, this is the mantra of our time. The mantra makes it visible what, until lately, has been invisible. Community, the web of interconnections, the safety net of caring that we extend to one another when life is hard. Fortunately, more people now are discovering that humans only persevere through difficulties when we're truly together. Yet many of us are distracted by stress and anxiety and the busyness and have forgotten the power of community. We don't have time for each other, and we hastily assign judgments and stereotypes to those we don't know. Our pressure-cooked lives are driving us farther and farther away from the very resources that could help us the most. Strong relationships with those in our local communities. I am heartened by the continuing news coverage of workers who support each other through continued employment by taking decreased hours by the many food bank shelters and the forms of care springing up all over the communities in America. Helping others, thinking of others, thinking more of the person sitting next to you than yourself is the right thing to do. Let's hope that America is waking up to both the need and the rewards of being in this together. We may even be waking up to the fact that most people want, to help others, want to be generous, and care a great deal about the welfare of neighbors and strangers. We can rely on human goodness. These are the first signs of major turning in the United States, turning towards one another to discover what we might create together, how we might help each other, how we might console and strengthen one another. America needs to learn this lesson. This is what Margaret Wheatley teaches us. This undeniable truth of a human experience, no matter what is going on around us. If we truly believe, there's that believe word again, that we're in this together, and we work hard to be there for one another, we can make it through. Last thing I'm going to read off of Margaret Wheatley's page, and hopefully I've enticed you enough to at least go Google the book. Yet there's a long journey ahead, and to make it through, we must give up our love of self and individualism and truly embrace community. Here are a few questions about the behaviors that need to change. Can we get over ourselves? Can we stop focusing on private needs and open to the greater good? Can we realize that in this intertwined world, if the least among us benefit, we all benefit. If they suffer, we all suffer. Can we let go of our need to blame, to judge, to scapegoat, all the thoughtless and nasty ways we separate from one another? Can we shift away from the self-interest and self-protection and do this everywhere, at work and at home, in public meetings? It's not easy. My wife would tell you, Whipke, you got a long way to go. This is the experiment going on in America. Nobody knows the outcome, but we need to make it a choice. And it's our choices that will determine the outcome. So that is just a small snippet of what I share about thoughts and views with the faculty. We have to come together as a district because culture trumps all. We all have a story, and everybody's story should be valued. Everybody's story should be valued. Everybody has a connection. I can promise you, if I had everybody stand up in this room and I had a ball of string and I started telling my story, I can promise you it connected with one person. And then you told your story, it would connect with another. We are connected. We are going to focus on having more conversations as a district about beliefs and values. Mission failure is not an option. I mentioned that on November 18th as well. It's not the differences that divide us, Margaret Wheatley says, it's our judgments about each other that do. And this was really for the teachers. Love what you do in the service of people that love what you do. You guys are so good at that. So good at that from what I've seen during my visits. So, next slide. Why do we need to be in this together? Our students. Our students. I talked to a lot of people. In my days in Rockwood, in my days in Parkway, and now my days in Fox, I've talked to a lot of people. And they always will say, oh, I'm in this for the kids. I'm in this for the kids. We need to be in it together for the kids. Fox Middle School. That was awesome. Great visit. Cafeteria staff at Seckman Middle School, they were so proud of their cafeteria when they showed me all around it. They had a good reason to be proud. They're my tour guides at Antonia Middle School. That is an unbelievable school. Not only is it gorgeous, it has great educators in it. They put on a little skit for me at Antonio Middle School. It was an absolute blast. Right? You guys saw somebody you recognized, didn't you? That was you. Oh, go back. Let's see. Where are you at? Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right. Cecilia and Zach, Seckman High School. Truly one of the best high schools around. Well, that's Miss Harrington's class, Seckman Elementary School. That was one of my very first picture. Yes, all right, little pause. Right there, Merrimack Heights had their choir concert. Look at the parents coming out. I wish I had a better picture. All right, I'd like to blame that on you, Rizzy. You didn't take that though, did you? All right. All right. The Fox High School hockey game. What a great environment. Now, this was an interesting story because I went down there after Jordan Bratton scored. He scored the only goal. We lost, I think, 3-1. And I went down there and I took a picture of another kid with one of those big fat heads, right? And then this young man came up to me and goes, no, get me. I got Jordan right here. He just scored. So I had to spin around real quick and take his picture. And another great picture of a class I was in. Some more great tour guides that I had at Seckman Middle. And this is a funny story. My very first visit to Fox High School. I walked all in and went in all the classrooms, and I walked into this classroom, and it was an AP classroom. And they were all having a good time. And the girl in the back, do you see her that has the AP? When I was leaving, she said to me, well, you know, Dr. Whipke, this is the happiest place on earth. So I left, and I got about 4 doors down, and I said, I got to go back and get a picture of that classroom. So I walked back in. I want you to notice the girl in the first row sitting the second back. She was like, I can't believe we came back. It was so much fun. All right. And then this is Caden. Caden, I did a visit with Caden at, where were we? We were at Antonia Elementary School. It's the last picture. And I apologize for being so long-winded. But I had to share this story with you. I walked into to Caden's classroom, and it was towards the end of my visit. And I was just telling him how excited I am to be their superintendent and how much I'm going to care about them. And the thing is that when I said that, Caden pops up out of his seat and says, I've got something for you. Some of the kids will say, I got something for you, Dr. Whipke. That's how they remember how to say my name. All right? It's great. All right? And he said, I've got something for you. And I looked at the teacher, because they surprised me a little bit at Antonia Elementary, and I went on a whole treasure hunt all over the campus. So I thought this was just kind of part of it. And Caden's digging in his book bag, and I look at his teacher. And his teacher looks over at me and is like, this is unscripted. So then I'm thinking I might get something out of this bag that's alive. You know? I mean, that was my next thought. But he brings me this little shaped figure. This little origami structure. It opens up. And he handed it to me. No hate in his heart. Only innocence. Pure innocence about being in school and learning. I'm like a selfie king outside of the educational world. All right? Take pictures every time I run with my girls. I'll take a selfie. All right? In fact, for Christmas, my kids gave me, and I thought this was really a compliment at first, they gave me a whole book, an album of all my selfies. All right? And then I said, this is awesome. They're like, Dad, you're not supposed to like it that much. This is my selfie. And I keep this picture. And we want to talk about healing in our community. no matter if you're on this side of the room, no matter if you're on that side of the room. We're going to talk about healing as a district. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you first heal with your heart. You first heal with your heart. I want to thank you. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to speak about some of my findings. This has been truly remarkable. The last time, President Laughlin, I stood in front of you and the other board members, I said I should be thanking you for allowing me to be your superintendent. And Board of Education, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be your superintendent and allowing me tonight to report out on what I found in our district so far. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry.
3.1 dropout rate, Dr. Izzy?
The current dropout rate is a 1.09. Still the lowest it's been in the last 3 years.
It's fantastic.
Tough act to follow, huh, Riz?
Yes, yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about that, but you speak so doggone good, I just don't want to even touch it. That was really, really fantastic.
I wrote that speech.
3.2 financial report, Mr. Brazil.
Excuse my voice. And I forgot to put the monthly financial statement in here, so I'll distribute that to you. But there is a financial statement there showing a comparison between the current year and the prior year by month for operating funds, and it shows that revenue is at 82.8 million, expenses at 66.2, and we continue a trend of restraining expenses. A year ago, expenses through the 8 months were 71.8 million. This year it's 66.2, and we've restrained that by 5.6 million, and that's going to help us hit the budget targets we've set for this year. So we're right on target, right where we want to be. That's all.
3.3 average daily attendance, Dr. Izzy.
Our average daily attendance is a 95.09. It's pretty much in line where we were that last year at this time.
3.5 MSBA policy adoption to meet the Missouri Student Religious Liberties Act. Ken?
Last legislative session, HB 1303 was passed to establish the Missouri Student Religious Liberties Act. This policy meets the requirement for us to have to adopt this policy. So this is for information, and we'll ask for you to adopt this policy next month.
Any questions? All right, 4.0, consent grouping for business items action. 4.1, gifts to the district. Tim.
Ask that you approve the gifts that are presented.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second, Mr. Sullivan. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. 4.2, update assessment plan. Dr. Izzy.
Yes, in August, we presented with you our district assessment plan for the year, and at that time, I commented that we will need to adjust based on the new assessments that will come up for the MAP test, that they're online. There'll be new procedures that we'll probably need to adjust. That manual just recently came out, so we have adjusted our security procedures, and that is on page 26 and 27. Items 5 through 8 were added. So we just ask that you approve those so we can move forward.
Do I have a motion? Second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? Mr. Sullivan. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. 4.3, AP Economics Curriculum and Resources. Dr. Rizzi.
Last month, we gave you information on the AP Economics course that contains the Missouri Learning Standards and the macroeconomic standards, and it's in line with the literacy standards as well. It contains depth of knowledge and tiered vocabulary and resources. We ask that you approve those along with the resources that are needed.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4.4, Dr. Rizzi.
Yeah, last month, again, we presented the information on additional course, the AP Physics class. This curriculum includes Missouri Learning Standards for reading and writing and science and technical subjects. It also includes standards, pacing guides, and student-friendly language, depth of knowledge, and tiered vocabulary. And it also includes the resources and textbooks. We ask that you approve.
Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. 4.5, Mr. Brazil.
Teams representing the district and the Fox NEA, the teacher representatives this year, met during the months of January and February. We had, I believe, 11 meetings to meet and confer regarding pay, benefits, and working conditions. The result of those meetings is encapsulated in a memorandum of understanding, commonly called an MOU, and we are presenting that to you tonight. Excuse me. Fox NEA has already presented the MOU to the teachers and reported out a few minutes ago or earlier tonight that they have ratified that particular document. The MOU consists of various sections setting forth the authority of the Board of Education, the process of recognition for teacher representatives, a salary schedule for the upcoming 15-16 school year. The salary schedule does provide a step increase for all teachers, ranging from 2% at the lower end of the scale and rising and progressively shrinking as through the scale. At the very top, it's a 0.5% increase. The district contribution to health and dental benefits increases to fully fund the premium. You may recall in the current year we're short funding that, but as you can see, the progress we're making on the budget is enabling us to move back towards fully funding our health care programs, and there's an adjustment to the value of sick days. We do recommend this. The district team recommends this MOU to the district for approval.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, I think that the NEA, under Mr. Taylor's leadership, and John did a fantastic job on bringing a fair and equitable agreement to us. I was very disappointed and a little bit upset that all the teachers never had the opportunity to vote on this. Mr. Taylor pointed out that the numbers were very low when they did have the opportunity, but yet they did have the opportunity. It's up to the individual if they want to vote or not vote on that contract. You know, I've been associated with the district since 1977, April of 1977. And this is the first time we haven't let all of the teachers vote. And I hope in the future we can come up with a plan that will allow all teachers, no matter whether they're the MSTA, NEA, or don't belong to any group, be able to vote. And why is that important? I think we heard a while ago, we all need to be in this together. And the togetherness will make it stronger. That's all.
Yes, sir.
I concur with what you said, and maybe no one meant anything by it. But I know that when CTA had the majority, they allowed everyone to vote, and I think that's right. I guess I would look back on history and look at our own country and say, you know, there was a time when I would say I would have been disappointed with this country when we didn't allow women to vote. We didn't allow it. They lived under whatever we decided. In my opinion, that was just wrong. Just because sometimes we got the right to do something doesn't mean we should. Everybody should have, in this country, in my opinion, should have the right to vote. Probably won't change anything, but you know what they always say, two heads are better than one. When you get input from the more people you get input on, a lot of times you get better results, you get better decisions. I just wish that and hope that this can be reconciled, not for differences between anybody except for the kids and the community, because we have a good district. That's all.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, sir.
I sat in on a few of the negotiating sessions, and I had never done that before, not just in the school district, but anywhere. And I was pleased at how the administration and the NEA representatives worked together. It was a very cooperative effort. I was very impressed, and I think this is a good agreement for the district and for the teachers. That's it.
Thank you. Any further? All in favor?
Yes.
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 Opposed?
No.
Yes, I'm opposed, because everybody wasn't given the right to vote. Because everybody wasn't given the right to vote, I'm opposed.
Yeah, I'm opposed to that.
4 yeses, motion carries. Uh, 4.6, summer school pay schedule. Mr. Brazil.
Summer school is approaching, and we need to set the rates for compensation for this year's summer school. I've presented them to you there on the template.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Sullivan, second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
I was just going to say, I'm sorry.
My apologies.
Are these rates comparable to last year?
They're different than last year. Specifically, some are higher and some are lower. In regards to teachers, they formerly were $20. This is $22 now. Others have changed marginally as well.
How do we calculate the rates? How do you calculate the rates for summer school? Is there a formula or just comparative data with other districts, or how does that work?
Primarily comparative data and past history.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4.7, admin and director's pay schedule. Mr. Brazil.
We're proposing an administrative salary schedule for 15-16. It's presented to you on the template and has comparative data to the prior year. The goal of this particular presentation was to try to capture a top and a bottom of range, and what it captures is the median quadrants for the St. Louis region. You can see that in generally the upper limits have been reduced from our prior year schedules. There are no steps in these schedules, and we may develop steps in the future, but because of where everyone's landing at the moment and the effort to give a limited but uniform increase of 1%, we're not going to pose steps, we're just going to grant that increase. So in time, we may be able to develop a step structure.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I think this 1% is a reasonable thing. We asked the principals and assistant principals and administrators at the beginning of the year to voluntarily take a 5% pay cut, and they did. And I think that showed a lot about their character and that they want the best for the school district. And now with a lot of the things that Mr. Brazil has asked and the staff has responded to, I think that this 1% is reasonable. And I also like this change in the structure. So thanks, John.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5-0, consent grouping for action of business. 5.1, consent grouping A, payment of bills. Mr. Brazil.
The bills are there for your approval. There are no breakouts this month, so you can vote on it in just one motion. There is one?
Yep.
Just one?
I thought there was a breakout.
We just did the probationary right now.
I see
5.1, payment of bills.
I see
Oh,
two.
okay. I'm sorry. There is one. Yeah.
I see two.
All right, well, let's,
Okay.
do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, questions and comments. Let's point out which ones need to be pointed out.
What are we voting on?
Payment of
bills.
bills.
They're separated as they were in previous board meetings.
Okay. I misread something. My apology.
So the first
So,
one,
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 things listed, correct? And I need to abstain from my sister-in-law's flowers.
That'll be
So which
vote
one-
2.
Huh?
That'll be vote 2.
There's two
Yep.
votes.
Two.
Yeah.
First section.
You're
There's going to be 3 votes.
Okay, I'm going to look at you and you go like this.
I only have A.
It's all the way in the back.
All right, I think I messed up. My document's off. There's a Group A and a Group B.
Yes.
My document only has a Group A. My apologies. I'm causing
Yeah,
confusion.
I only saw the Group A myself.
All
I
right.
misread something.
All right, so Group A is the first grouping. Do I have a motion for Group A?
We do a motion.
Yeah, but I put them both together. So motion for Group A.
There's a Group C as well.
Not on my document, but we have A, B, and C. All right, thank you. It's okay. It's okay.
you abstain from C.
B's the one I can't vote on, right?
Who needs to abstain from A?
Carla told me, but I didn't say it.
All right, for Group A, nobody should need to abstain. Can I have a
Correct.
motion?
Motion.
A second.
Second.
It's roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
I need to abstain if that includes B. but
This is
No.
A.
Just
This is
A
just
only.
This is just
Oh,
A.
wonderful, I vote yes.
Okay. Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mullins?
Yes.
All right, Group B.
Mr. Krupa,
Group
you need to
B,
abstain.
Krupa needs to abstain.
Okay, do I have a motion for Group B?
Motion.
I second Group B.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
He abstains.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mullins?
Yes.
Who abstains in Group C?
Mr. Sullivan abstains.
Group C, Mr.
All right,
Sullivan.
I need a motion for Group C.
Motion. Second.
Hold on a second. Roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
I abstain because it's for my son taking a group of wrestlers from Second High School.
Okay. Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mullins?
Yes.
And that was my fault,
That's okay.
for the record. Not your fault.
We're all in this together.
It's okay.
When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong.
6.1, staff separations. Mr. Crutchley.
You all have a packet that was in front of you because we do have additional late materials in there. So refer to that, not your tablet. We're going to do just staff separation, so I ask that you approve staff separations that are presented in your packet in front of you.
So that's all of 6.1?
Just 6.1,
Okay,
correct.
all of 6.1. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Palmer?
I'll second.
Second. Roll call. Yeah.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullins?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes. All right, 6.2, Mr. Crutchley.
All right, we're going to do, we typically do these together, but we're going to do these separate tonight because of all of the contract renewals we have. So A is employment of certified staff, and we actually, I think to make this a little easier, we'll do multiple votes. The very first page of certified is administrators. Ask that you approve the 2 administrators on that sheet as presented to start with.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Okay, so you're here. Mrs. Mullins?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Okay, our next vote will be for probationary teachers. Ask that you approve the probationary teachers as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Palmer? Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullins?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Abstain.
Okay. Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
All right, next we have our tenured teachers. We're going to do these in 2 separate votes. We're going to vote on the first teacher, Ablin, through teacher Rory Judd will be our first vote.
Go ahead.
I want to ask somebody a question. John, do we have to do this? Can I vote? Do we have to abstain because we've got children or sisters or whatever everybody's got? Is that you're the best parliamentarian.
There's varying opinions on that.
Oh, well, let's not do it.
Just tell me.
Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble.
The attorney recommends that
I
you
would
abstain.
recommend you abstain.
He does?
You want to read your group again?
Yeah,
Do we
it's
have it clear here?
Karen Ablin through Rory Judd is the first group.
All right, do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
Abstain.
Yeah.
Mrs. Mullins?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Abstain.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
So our second group will be the rest of the tenured teacher list.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullins?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Abstain.
And Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Okay, our last vote will be our certified directors and coordinators.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullins?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
All right, so now we're on employment of classified staff, and we can vote on this entire section in one vote. So I ask that you approve the employment of classified staff as presented.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullins?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
All right, last vote is employment of substitute staff. Please approve that as presented.
Motion. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Mr. Palmer. Second.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Krupa?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullins?
Yes?
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway?
Yes.
And Mr. Laughlin?
Yes. 7.1, Superintendent Report. Yeah, so got a statement that we put together on the new hires. I know people want to know what we've done here, and they assisted me in putting a statement together. So let me go ahead and read that first, get that out. I'm honored to announce the following new administrative staff for the Fox C6 School District. These candidates were vetted through a rigorous screening and interview process in collaboration feedback provided by the community and staff. The position of Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources will be filled by Dr. Kelly Brocht. Dr. Brocht has the Professional in Human Resources, PHR certification, which demonstrates her mastery of the technical and operational aspects of HR practices and U.S. laws and regulations. Dr. Brock has been an educator since 2001, working for the Hazelwood and Ferguson Fluorescent School Districts, where she was most recently the evaluation coordinator. Welcome, Dr. Kelly Brock. Will you go ahead and stand? The position of principal at Seckman Elementary will be filled by Mr. Dan Baker. Mr. Baker Mr. Baker has 21 years of experience with the district, has elementary education, special education, elementary principal, special education administration, and superintendent certifications. He has previously served as principal of Hodge Elementary and has been the interim principal of Seckman Elementary since January. Mr. Dan Baker, will you please stand? Congratulations. The position of Fox High School principal will be filled by Mr. Ryan Sherp. Mr. Sherp is currently the assistant principal of Lindbergh High School, a position he's held for 8 years. Previously, he was the area coordinator at Lindbergh High School for a special school district. Mr. Sherp has been an educator since 2001. Congratulations, Mr. Sherp. The position of Seckman High School principal will be filled by Mr. Todd Scott. Mr. Scott has worked at both high schools in the Fox District as a teacher and assistant principal. He also served as principal of Ridgewood Junior High. Mr. Scott began an educator at Fox High School in 1994 and has been working for the district ever since. Congratulations, Mr. Scott.
Here we go.
Superintendent report.
I have one real quick report. I was able to give the board some news that I'm very excited yet very sad to report. I will be retiring effective June 30th, and I'm reporting this because because of my position, I don't want this to be an indictment in any way on the board or Dr. Whipke. I am choosing to do this because I'm able to. We belong to an incredible retirement system that's giving me the opportunity to take advantage of it. I am not, let me say that again, I am not retiring because I don't want to work with Dr. Whipke. I am not retiring because I feel that this board has mistreated me or has done something wrong. I fully support this board and Dr. Whipke and the direction that this district is headed. I'm actually kind of sad that I'm not going to be part of it, yet very happy that I can move on to a different part of my life. And so please, there's a lot of teachers out there. Thank you for everything that you guys have done this year. We've been through some really, really tough times this year, and we've made it through it, and we've made it through it because of you guys. If you would do me one favor, when those people start to talk about the board or Dr. Whipke forcing me out, or that I don't like them, or I don't like where this is headed, or I was treated poorly, will you please tell people that that is not the case, because that is not why I'm retiring. I'm very happy with this decision. I'm excited about it, yet very sad because I've had some great times in the Fox School District. Very proud of what I've done at Ridgewood, But I'm very, very proud of what we did as a district this past year. So thank you.
Congratulations, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board reports, Mr. Brazil?
No report.
I have a few things. We did have a good winter. We had two sports that went on to compete at the state level. We have the Seckman wrestling team that placed in the top 4 again this year and had a state champion in several places. We're really proud of them. Fox hockey team made the finals, took second. Dr. Whippy talked about that. We have a lot of things going on with the choir and music that are continuing to be very successful. So we're proud about that. The district state testing is coming up. Thanks for the teachers and the administrators for all the work they've done to be ready for that, and I'm confident we'll do very well. I just want to thank Tim Krutzy for all he's done. His unselfishness and his courage that he's done this year is just unprecedented, and I want to thank you for that. I'm also excited about being a part of the team with Dr. Whipke, and I just think that we're all working together. I've got more emails in the last month or so from people giving input, but not only giving concerns, but giving solutions. And that's showing signs that we are starting to work together, and I appreciate that.
I had a very eloquent speech prepared, but Dr. Whipke ran a little long, so I'm very happy with the process. I'm very happy with Dr. Whipke. We made the right choice. You're just incredible. That was a great speech. Your process, when you came in, we said to you, Dr. Whipke, find the best candidates for these open positions. Go through the process that you bring with you. Do it the right way, get the best candidates. And you did it. And I think this board is willing to stand behind every one of your selections because we know you went through the right process to get them, and that we have the best people in the best positions to succeed. And I think there was a lot of other stuff that I wanted to say, but you talked too long, so I'm finished. Thank you.
I wanted to thank all of the Seckman Elementary folks for reaching out over the past few weeks, and similar to what you said, Dr. Rizzi, a lot of detailed explanations about, what the candidates meant to them and what they were looking for. Just on the transparency side, I probably got 50 emails and phone calls from Seckman Elementary versus 1, maybe 1.5 negative responses about the potential selection of candidates. And in my opinion, I felt like the decision definitely needed to be made by the people that are in the trenches that go to that school that are mostly impacted. And I appreciate your input. Meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan?
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. That was fantastic to have such a large group come out. Welcome to the new people that are coming to the district. And as Dr. Whipke say, let's do it all together. We can do it.
I wanted to save my comments related to the NEA aspect for the board reports. I wanted to mention that at times we face different challenges. We come across decisions that do not allow us to make impact for the better like we always intended to do. I was elected to be a voice for all teachers, and yet tonight was faced with a decision that as a board member I had no legal right to change. While I respect and understand the stance of the NEA, I feel a different approach could have been taken and still yielded the same results. I'm disappointed that at a time when as a board and a central office staff, we were working to unite our teachers and our district, we couldn't respect each individual and treat them how we would want to be treated ourselves. As Dr. Whipke mentioned, we are all in this together. Thank you.
Well, we got a good district. We got a lot of good teachers. We got a lot of good administrators. We got some issues, a few. We got to work on them. But if we work together and we learn from our past, we'll be on top. We'll end on top. And if we can end on top as a community, our kids succeed. That's it.
Yeah, I missed one announcement that I want to make sure I get on the record, and this person couldn't be here this evening, which is why I slid it off to the side. But we also hired a director of food service, Gail Jones, was director of food service with Dunklin R5 School District the past 5 years. Previous to that, Rockwood School District as a registered dietitian supervisor. Bachelor's of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics from SEMO in 1997, Master's in Management from Fontbonne University in 2010, Nationally Certified School Nutrition Specialist from School Nutrition Association, and that position has also been filled. We'll welcome that new person. You know, a couple comments from me is, when we decided that we had to go find a new superintendent, we really worked hard on what that process was going to look and feel like, make it as transparent as we possibly could, get as much of the community involved as we could possibly get involved, multiple committees, and at the end of it, I just, you know, I know everybody knows how I feel that our selection was fantastic and that we found one of the best people that we could possibly get to our school district. Since then, we're absolutely putting transparent platforms into place so that every position, people can apply for it, people can go through the process. There's committees at the schools, the other organizations, and at the end of the day, I'm kind of like everybody else. It would be easy to influence the process. It would be really easy to choose who's eligible, who's not eligible, who I want in there and not. But I chose, and this board chose, to take the really hard decision, and that is believe in the process. And it's ironic to me that now that we have a process in place, and it is an excellent process and a very rigorous and challenging process that quite frankly puts some really top-tier individuals into these position possibilities, and the top of the crop rose out. And now I'm getting just constant email asking me to influence that process in one direction or another. I can't do that. I have to believe in the process at this point, and I think what this board's put into place is absolutely fantastic. I think in the future, you're going to see, I know there's a lot of positions that people are passionate about right at the moment, but in the future, that will go away very quickly, and as we fill positions quickly and rapidly, and a year or two go by, and people realize how qualified these individuals are and how much time, energy, and effort they're putting in towards the kids, I think most of that pain will go away. And if these individuals don't do exactly what is expected of them, there's a process in place to find somebody even better. So I hope you guys believe in it. I was heavily influenced by the Seckman teachers. At the end of the day, they absolutely know what's going on in that school district, and they absolutely came out to say, let's make this a better school. I had to take that influence heavily. Beyond that, I'm pretty proud to be a part of this school, and I think we're moving in the right direction every day. Thank you guys for this opportunity. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, we adjourn.
Have a second? All in favor?
Yes.
We're adjourned.